class 296, page 287, the last point, point 16. To let. A ver, let me see. El a ver, ¿qué voy a hacer ahora? Let me see. Se dice tanto, es tan trillada esta expresión, let me see or let me go, que no solemos decir let me, decimos let me. Let me see, let me. It's como give me a chance. Dame una oportunidad, dame otra oportunidad. Give me another chance. Give me. Let me see. And you remember when I taught allow, the verb to allow, que también es permitir o dejar, déjame que lo haga, déjame hacerlo. Allow me to do it, let me to do it. Nadie en su sano juicio dice, allow me to do it. Decimos, let me do it. Let me do it. And you remember, I said several classes ago, if you go to the playground at a school, primary school, grade school, elementary school, grammar school, you go to a primary school, and you go to the patio recreo, and you listen in English, in England or in the States or in Ireland, in Canada, Australia, you go and you listen to the children, and you record them with a microphone, 100 hours. You will hear the children use the verb let 1,000 times. Allow, 0. They never say it. So the verb to let es el verbo rey para el sentido de permitir, dejar o dar permiso. Let me go. De hecho, suéltame. Let me go. Let go. Se dice let go. Ahora, suéltame, déjame, is let me go. Let me out is, let me out. Estoy aquí encerrado. Déjame salir. Dejadme salir. Let me out. Let me out. Let me out. Let me out. Let me. Tú no digas let me, pero eso es lo que vas a oír. Tú dices let me. Let me go. Let me out. Déjame entrar, anda, abre. Let me in. Let the dog out. Deja el perro salga al jardín. Let the dog out. Let the dog in. Let the dog out. Let the dog in. Let's go. Luego, let con apóstrofe S es la contracción de let us. Literalmente, déjanos o permítenos, que se nos permita. Let us go. O sea, literalmente es déjanos ir. Es la forma de decir, vámonos. Let's go. Vámonos. Let's go. Veamos. Let's see. Comamos. Let's eat. Empecemos. Let's start. Let's begin. All right, let's. Déjame empezar. Let me start with a joke. Let me. Let him. Ahora, ojo, no me insertes la partícula tú. Let me see, let me go, let me have, let me touch, let me smell, let me taste it, let me try it. ¿Has dicho que los lápices saben bien? You say pencils taste good? I've never tried a pencil. Try it. You'll like it. A pencil? Are you kidding? Are you joking? Yeah. Have you ever eaten a pencil? No, I've never eaten a pencil. Have you ever tried it? A pencil? No, I've never tried it. Well, can I try it? Let me try it. Let me taste it, okay? Tastes like a pencil. Doesn't taste too bad, but I think I will postpone my satisfaction until tomorrow maybe. Let me go. So, dice, permítanme dirigir su atención a las cifras. Let me draw your attention to the figures. Let me, to let. My parents were quite lenient, permissive with me. Well, sometimes, usually. They let me do a lot of things that nowadays parents don't let their children do. Today, nowadays, hoy en día, nowadays, escriben nowadays, con una I intercalada, nowadays, but usually we say nowadays. Nowadays, parents are more protective of their children. When I was growing up, last century, okay, my parents let me do a lot of things. They let me go out and never come back. My mother installed a bell, una campana grande, in the back door of the house. And it was when the lunch or dinner was almost ready, she went out, ding, 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 ding. You could hear it from a kilometer away. Ding, ding, ding. She rang the bell because I recognized it was time to come eat. And I was on my bicycle or I was running in the neighborhood. There was a big neighborhood, maybe a radius of maybe 1 kilometer. When I was 7 years old, 6 years old, 8 years old. And so I was on my bike everywhere. But I could hear that bell. My mother, bam, 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 bam. That means, and it was like Pavlov's dogs, los perros de Pavlov. When I heard that bell, my mouth started to water. Se me hacía agua, se me hacía boca agua. My mouth started to water. And so, wow. I went running home or riding my bicycle home to have lunch or to have dinner. All right. So my parents let me go out in the neighborhood. They let me climb trees. They let me build tree houses. He construido 2 casas en los árboles, tree houses. They let me build tree houses. They let me play with the neighbors. They let me walk to school by myself. When I was 5 years old, I walked to school, to kindergarten, and they let me go on my own. I was very independent. They let me, and thankfully my parents let me do a lot of things. To let me do, let me go, let me see, let me come, let her come, let her. I never let her out of my sight. She's too beautiful. However, she has a boyfriend now. Well, she changed from Paco to Francois. But to let her. I let her come, I let her use English with me. To let. All right. So, regular verbs again, my friend. Regular verbs. Oh, I insisted. Every day I insist that you study. Last week I insisted that you study, and I will continue to insist that you study. I have always insisted. Siempre he insistido en que estudiases. O que estudies. I've always insisted that you study. ¿Quién inventó el teléfono? Who invented the telephone? Well, Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone officially. Who invented electricity? I don't know. Michael Faraday? Benjamin Franklin? Who invented the Morse code? El código Morse? I don't know. Who invented the Morse code? Who invented the fried egg? I don't know. Some people say Francis Bacon, but I don't agree. I don't believe them. So I don't know who invented. Who invented mayonnaise? That's interesting. ¿Quién inventó la mayonesa? The cook of a French general in Menorca, the island of Menorca. The story is in 1756. 1756. In 1756, I think, check. Your homework for tonight. A French general and his army invaded Menorca, which at that time was under British control. But they took the city of Mahón in Mallorca. And the general's chef, el chef del general, noticed an interesting sauce, and he developed it and created mayonnaise, which in Spain is often called mayonesa de Mahón. So, who invented mayonnaise? Well, according to many people, and maybe it's true, according to many people, a French cook discovered or developed or invented mayonnaise in the city of Mahón, in the community of Mahón, on the island, siempre se dice on cuando es isla, on the island of Menorca in 1756, I think. Check that. That's your homework. Invite. Richard, yes. How many people did you invite to your house last week? Oh, I invited over 100 people. Yeah. You see, I invited people from Russia. I invited people from Italy. I invited people from Canada. Yeah. And how many people went to your house? None. None? You invited 100 people and nobody went? Yeah. I invited 100 people. In fact, I invited 102 people. Not 100. I invited 102 people to my house, and none of them showed up. None of them turned up. Wow. Why not? Because of the pandemic. Because I didn't invite any Spanish people. I invited 2 people from 51 different countries. Really? Yeah. That's why I remember 102. Because I made a list. I made a list of 51 countries. And I invited a married couple, un matrimonio, a married couple from each. And did they accept? Yes, they accepted. Primera en la lista. I'm on page 169, third column. They accepted, but none of them came to my house. None of them. Scritto none. None of them came. None of the 51 couples from the 51 countries showed up. To show up is hacer acto de presencia, presentarse. None of them showed up. So, I didn't have a party after all. ¿Cómo es after qué? After all, después de todo. I didn't have a party. Yeah, nobody showed up. None of the couples showed up. I invited all of them. Invited. Landed. Yes, landed. What was the last airport John Kennedy landed in? The last airport is interesting. John Kennedy was assassinated on November 22nd, 1963. Now, he was visiting Texas. First, he went to Houston. Then he flew to Fort Worth, Texas. And then he flew from Fort Worth to Dallas, 10 minutes. And he landed, he and his wife, landed at Love Field. Se dice Campo Amor. Campo de Amor. Somos Campo de Amor. Love Field is the Dallas airport. And that's the last airport he landed in. He never landed on another, living. His body landed in Andrews Air Force Base in Washington, D.C., or near Washington, D.C. Landed. To land, landed. Lift. Okay. Marta, otra vez. After the class, Marta and I are going to lift this table and put it over there. Last Friday, in the last class, about 4 classes ago, Marta left. Before we put the table over there, I said, Marta. And she left. I said, oh my God. So I called Augusto, who works near here. And between Augusto and me, we lifted the table and moved it, and moved it over there. All right, lifted. Listened. Did you listen to my radio show yesterday. You didn't listen to it. All right. And you? Paula, did you listen to it? She did. All right. Hey, Raul, Paula listened to it. You didn't listen to it. Yeah. Are you listening to me now? Are you looking at me and listening to me? Look at, listen to. All right, lived. I lived in Oklahoma for 10 years. I lived in Austin, Texas for 1 year. I lived in Dallas, Texas for two years, yeah. I lived in Dallas for 2 years. I lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma for 10 years. I lived in Houston, Texas for 9 years. I lived in Almonacid, Sorita for 4 months. And I lived in a nuclear plant facility for about 6 months. Yeah. So, and I lived in Barcelona for 2 weeks. All right, I lived. Where did Napoleon Bonaparte live when he was a little boy? He lived in Corsica. He lived in Corsica. Yeah. His name was Bonaparte. Well, yes and no. Really, his name was Buonaparte because Corsica wasn't French when Napoleon was born, or just before Napoleon was born. Corsica didn't belong to France. Corsica was part of Piemonte, or the El Reino de Piemonte, Piedmont, I think. I think it was part of Piedmont or Savoy. I can't remember. That's another homework for you. Eh? Now you have 2 homework items for tomorrow. All right, moved. When I was 9, I lived in New York City. I forgot. I lived in Queens in New York City for 10 months when I was 2 and 3 years old. My family moved to New York in 1954. They moved back to Houston in 1955. Then we moved to Oklahoma in 1960. Then I moved to Dallas, Texas in 1970. I moved to Madrid, Spain in 1972. Then I moved back to Texas, but to Austin, Texas in 1973. And then I moved back to Madrid in 1974. And then I moved to Almonacid. And then I moved back to Madrid, etc., etc. All right, to move. Trasladarse, mudarse. Además de mover algo, you see. This pencil, I'm going to move it. See this pencil? I'm going to move it a bit to the left, to my left. All right. Okay. I have moved it 2 centimeters maybe to the left. Now I'm going to move it about 4 centimeters towards you. Okay? I'm moving it about 4 centimeters towards you. All right. Toward or towards, both are correct. Toward, hacia ti, en tu dirección, in your direction. Toward you or towards you, both are correct. Now, it's similar. In Spanish, you have quizá or quizás. Sometimes with an S, sometimes with and with toward, it's the same with an S. Now I'm going to move it about 5 centimeters to my right. Okay? Watch. I'm moving it about 5 centimeters. Okay. And now finally I'm going to move it about 10 centimeters towards me. Okay? Are you ready? Watch. I'm going to move it. I haven't started yet, but I'm going to do it. Eh? In fact, I'm about to do it. Estoy a punto de decir I'm about to. Lo veremos más adelante. I'm about to do it. Now, I'm moving the pencil about 10 centimeters towards me. Fine. And now I'm finished. I've already moved the pencil enough. Okay. But do you remember what I did? First I put the pencil on the table. I took it out. I took it out of the cup. I took it out of the cup and placed it, or put it, lo puse o lo coloqué. I placed it or put it on the table, and then the first thing I did was I moved it. Fíjate cómo la D manda aquí en medio. Moved it. I moved it 2 centimeters to the left. Then, and then, I moved it 4 centimeters towards you. And then I moved it 5 centimeters to my right. And then finally I moved it 10 centimeters towards me and away from you. Previously, I moved it 4 centimeters towards you, away from me, and towards you. But finally, I moved it 10 centimeters towards me, away from you. And now, I'm moving it away from me, towards you. Now I'm turning it. I'm turning the pencil around. Now I'm pointing the pencil towards you. Now the pencil is pointing towards me. And now I'm going to pick it up and put it back. I'm going to pick it up and put it back, all right? But I haven't started yet. But I'm going to start, I promise. Huh? Word of honor. I'm going to pick it up and put it back. But first I'm going to turn it around and point it at you. But first, before I pick it up and put it back, I'm going to turn it around and point it at you. I'm going to point it at you. See? Watch. I'm turning it around, and now I'm positioning it, posicionándolo. I'm positioning it, and now the pencil is pointing at you. It's pointing away from me. It's pointing towards you, or pointing at you. It's pointing away from me. And now, a promise is a promise. I'm putting it back. All right, good. Good. So moved, offered, owned. Yes. How many houses have I owned in my life? I don't know, about 7. To own. How many cars have you owned? Se usa, de hecho se usa own. Own en el diccionario dice poseer o tener en propiedad. Claro, to own. Pero lo usamos, ¿eh? Yeah, lo usamos. Normally in Spanish you don't say yo poseo una casa, poseo una lancha fuera de borda, yo poseo un coche, no. Sin embargo, en inglés sí se dice bastante. I own a car. I own 2 cars and a house and a cat. Yeah. What am I going to do? I mean, we have to cut back. I'm spending too much money. I need to reduce my expenses. I have a Ferrari, and I have a Maserati. I have a mansion, and I have a cat. I need to find a way to save money. And you know, I always give these little chocolates to the cat. You know, I think we'll just cut the cat's chocolate. What do you say? That way we can save. I mean, the cats don't need chocolate, right? In fact, this is a true story, but a parrot. El chocolate del loro. They say the parrot's chocolate. And so finally, the aristocratic family with their declining finances, they get together to decide how to save money. And finally they said, you know, we give chocolate to that silly parrot. Loros parrot escrito. Parrot. And so they stopped giving, they reduced the amount of chocolate for the parrot. And so finally they saved money, right? All right, el chocolate del loro. So owned. All right, that's enough with regular verbs. I'll come back to do regular verbs in the future. All right, so quick review of irregular verbs. Okay, Richard, yes. How many times did you take Marta to the airport last year? Well, I didn't take her. I didn't take her to the airport last year. And this year? No, I haven't taken her to the airport so far this year. Richard, how many bridges did you blow up last year? Oof, I didn't blow up any bridges. No volé ningún puente. Ningunos puentes, decimos en inglés. I didn't blow up any bridges last year. And this year? Well, so far I haven't blown up any bridges. How many balloons did you blow up last year? No. I don't remember, but I didn't blow up any balloons last year. And so far this year? No, so far I haven't blown up any balloons. How many colds did you catch last year? Whew, I didn't catch any colds last year. Wearing these masks, I didn't catch any colds last year. And this year? No, I haven't caught a cold. I didn't catch a cold last year, and I haven't caught a cold this year. Di eso en voz alta muchas veces hoy. I didn't catch, I haven't caught. I didn't catch, I haven't caught. I didn't catch a cold last year, and I haven't caught a cold this year. He didn't catch a cold last year, and he didn't catch a cold last year, and he hasn't caught a cold this year. I'm getting confused myself. They didn't catch a cold last year, and they haven't caught a cold this year. How many world records did you break last year? I broke a world record almost every day last year. Yes. On radio and on television. Nobody in history of the world has done so many English classes on radio and on television. So every day I break a record. Last year I broke, and I'll be back tomorrow to break more records.